Welcome to the Midweek Mastery Call. This month, we're talking about protecting your peace, how to set boundaries without burning bridges. I'm changing up the format this month and doing it podcast style since everybody's out on summer break. The Midweek Mastery Calls are a quick, powerful way to check in, refocus, and get back to your confident, grounded self. Thanks for joining me. If we have not met yet, I'm Abby Cameron. I'm a confidence coach. I help women master their mindsets, set healthy boundaries, and step into their most confident selves. Today, we're going to be talking about the signs of boundary fatigue and the difference between boundaries and walls. You'll walk away with the scripts to start setting powerful boundaries without burning those bridges. So why is this important for this time of year? Well, June kicks off summer. It's a time when your personal schedules shift, your kids might be home, your extended family visits, or your travel plans increase. Often all of that leads to blurred and stretched boundaries. I know it's even happening for me at my own house with my kids being home. Many women struggle to balance personal needs with this increased social or family demands. So we start feeling guilty for saying no or for needing space. Plus, June's also mid-year. It's a natural time to reflect on energy leaks and recommit to the boundaries that support your well-being and your focus. So what I want you to think about right now, and take a minute to write it down, you can pause this if you need to, but what is your biggest boundary challenge right now? So mid-year, summer, beginning of it, what is your biggest boundary challenge? And let's dive in. I want you to think about this past week. How many times have you said yes to something when every fiber of your being wanted you to say no? So just the other day, I had a client telling me about all the extra responsibilities she was taking on at work because people just kept asking her and somewhat expecting that she would do it because she always has. She said yes because she didn't want to disappoint anyone. Does that sound familiar? Well, here's what I've learned after years of coaching. Your body knows when your boundaries are being crossed, even before your mind does. So let's talk about those warning signs. First, let's talk about the physical signs. Physical signs, you feel that knot in your stomach. So when your phone lights up, your email pings at you, your shoulders start to tense when certain people's names appear, and you're exhausted and you really can't pinpoint the reason. Okay, those are some of the physical signs. Let's talk about emotional. You might feel resentful toward people you actually care about, and maybe you're irritable with your family after saying yes to everyone else. I'm guilty of that. And you may even feel guilty whether you say yes or no. It's almost like you can't even win. Mentally, some of the signs are you're constantly running through your to-do list in your head. Happened to me this morning in meditation. Couldn't hardly meditate, thinking about all the things that I needed to do. You might fantasize about running away to a cabin in the woods where no one can find you, and you catch yourself thinking, I just need everyone to leave me alone. Now, summer actually makes this worse. Suddenly, everyone's schedules are different. The kids are home, vacations are happening, weddings, barbecues, graduation parties happening every single weekend. It's like the world decided you have unlimited time and unlimited energy just because the weather got warmer. But let me ask you this. What is one word that describes how you feel when someone asks you to do something you don't want to do? Just one word. It might be a word like trapped, overwhelmed, guilty, exhausted. These aren't coincidences, friends. This is your internal boundary alarm system going off. And the cost of ignoring these signals, well, you end up giving from an empty cup. You start resenting the people you love. You lose yourself in everybody else's needs. And here's the kicker. You actually become less helpful to others because you're running on empty. So before we get into the how do we set these boundaries without burning those bridges, we need to address the elephant in the room, that voice in your head saying, but if I set boundaries, people will think I'm selfish. People will get upset. People will think I'm uptight. Fill in the blank. If I set boundaries, people will think fill in the blank. Well, let me tell you something that changed everything for me. Boundaries are not walls. Walls keep people out permanently. They keep them out physically. They keep them out emotionally. And that is a lonely existence. Boundaries are meant to be more like gates. They have openings, they can be adjusted, and they're designed to let the right things in while keeping the wrong things out. So when you don't have boundaries, you're like a house with no doors. So anyone can walk in at any time, take what they want, and leave you feeling invaded. But when you have healthy boundaries, you become a house with beautiful doors that you can open and close as needed. Think about it this way. Would you rather have a friend who says yes to everything, but shows up resentful and exhausted? Or a friend who says, I can't do Thursday, but I'd love to help you on Saturday when I have more energy? The second friend is actually more loving, not less, because they're protecting their ability to show up fully when they can. So here's a mindset shift I want you to try out right now. Instead of thinking, I'm being selfish for saying no, try this. I'm being responsible with my energy so I can be my best self for the people and the things that matter most to me. Boundaries are not about pushing people away. They're about creating space for authentic connection. When you say yes from obligation, you're not being generous. You're actually being dishonest. You're giving people a version of yourself that's depleted and resentful. But when you say yes from choice, when you say yes because you genuinely want to have the capacity to, that's when real generosity happens. And that's when you can show up fully present, energized, and actually helpful. Your boundaries are a gift to everyone in your life, including yourself. So let's get practical. I know you're thinking, this sounds great, Abby, but what do I actually say? That's a really good point. First, let's talk about the anatomy of a boundary conversation. So every good boundary has 3 parts: acknowledgement, the actual boundary, and an alternative when it's possible. So here's the formula. First, acknowledge their request or their need. Number 2, you're going to state your boundary clearly and kindly. And number 3, offer an alternative if you can or if you want to. Sometimes we don't always want to, and that's okay. So let me show you how this works in some real situations. Let's go through a few scenarios. First one, there's that last minute social invitation. You're ready to kind of have some self-care. Maybe you have some downtime and all of a sudden something comes in for a happy hour, a barbecue, something to attend that you weren't planning on. Instead of saying, oh, I'm sorry, I'm just so busy. I wish I could, maybe next time. I feel terrible. Try this. Thanks for thinking of me. I won't be able to make it tonight, but I'd love to catch up soon. Want to grab coffee next week? So take note of what I did there. First, there was an acknowledgement. Thanks for thinking of me. You acknowledge that they invited you to the social event. Then there was your boundary. I won't be able to make it. And then there was an alternative, again, if that's something you want to set, which was coffee next week. Scenario number 2, let's talk about work requests after hours. A lot of my clients struggle with work-life balance. And since the onset of email, it seems like we're working all the time. And so if we want more work-life balance, one thing we need to do is actually put in boundaries over work requests after hours. So typically that can lead to resentment. Maybe you don't want to do it. You might be putting it off. Instead of making excuses or completely ignoring the message, here's a response you can try. I see your message. I'll take care of this first thing in the morning when I'm back in the office. It's short, it's clear, it's professional. You're not explaining why you can't do it right now because you don't owe anyone your personal time. Another scenario, family expectations. Our family has high expectations of us. And if you're like me, you probably jump and say yes to everything. Instead of saying, fine, I'll do it, or yes, begrudgingly, try this. I understand this is important to you. I'm not able to take this on right now, but here's what I can do, and then fill in the blank. Now, here's what I want you to notice about these scripts. They're kind, but they're not apologetic. So my language is very clear, but I'm also not harsh. And so they don't include a bunch of justifications. It's simply, I recognize and acknowledge what you're asking. Here's my boundary, and offering an alternative if I can. This is crucial. And I want you to remember this. Replay it if you have to. You do not need to justify your boundaries. When you start explaining all the reasons why you can't do something, you're essentially asking for permission to have boundaries. You don't need permission to take care of yourself and to set your own boundaries. Let's jump into another scenario, the guilt trip response. Someone says, "But you always help us with this." Or, and I've gotten this one before, "I guess I'll just have to figure it out myself." Normally, that's when we want to apologize and we want to go into all the justification why maybe we can't, or we'll just actually turn around and do it. Try this instead. "I understand you're disappointed. This doesn't work for me right now." That's it. Don't take the bait. Don't get defensive. Don't change your mind just to make them feel better. This is probably the hardest place to stand in, to stand your ground when you're setting boundaries. You don't want to disappoint people. Make it clear, make it kind. "I understand you're disappointed. This doesn't work for me right now." The end. Now, if you are someone where your boundaries are crossed often, and someone in your life knows that, there might be a repeated request. They may keep coming at you because they don't want to take no for an answer, because maybe in the past, no never worked. So if you are coming up against the repeated request, try this. "As I mentioned, that doesn't work for me. What else can we explore?" Okay, again, clear, concise, kind. "As I mentioned, that doesn't work for me. What else can we explore?" That's where you're coming up with an alternative. "How else can I help you? Because I can't help you with this." This is called the broken record technique. You're just calmly repeating your boundary without getting drawn into arguments or explanations. Again, key takeaway, don't need to over-explain. So I want you to take a moment and write down one situation where you need to set a boundary. And you may want to pause, but just kind of think through all the different scenarios. Is it a work boundary that you need to set? Maybe a boundary with a friend, boundary with someone in your family? And write down that situation. And then I want you to write a 1 to 3 sentence script that acknowledges their request, sets your boundary, and if you want, offers an alternative. So remember, your tone matters as much as your words. So practice saying these scripts out loud with confidence and kindness. Don't be defensive and don't be apologetic. Just be clear and caring. So let's talk a little bit about how to handle the pushback when people start to test your boundaries. Here's what nobody tells you about boundaries is people will test them. And maybe you've experienced that already. Not because they're bad people, but because they're human beings who are used to saying yes to everything, and they're used to you saying yes to everything. When you start setting boundaries, some people are going to push back. They might guilt trip you, they might argue with you, or they might even act hurt. Trust me when I say this. This is normal. And it is not a sign that you're doing something wrong. It is not a sign that you don't know how to set boundaries. It is normal. Think of it like this. If someone has been walking through your house without knocking for years, they're going to be surprised when you suddenly install a doorbell. Their surprise doesn't mean you shouldn't have a doorbell. So here are the most common types of pushback and some ways to handle them. The guilt trip. "I can't believe you won't help me with this." Here's your response. "I understand you're disappointed." That's it. Then stay quiet. Don't explain. Don't apologize. Don't change your mind. Here's another pushback, the argument. "But it will only take 5 minutes." Here's your response. "I understand it seems quick to you. It still doesn't work for me right now." So again, clear and kind. Hear the tone in my voice. Then there's the emotional manipulation. Fine, I'll just do it myself and probably mess it up. That's a hard one for me. I definitely fall into that trap sometimes. Here's what you can try, your response instead. I have confidence you'll figure it out. You do not have to rescue them from their own emotions. Stay in your own business. If it doesn't work for you, stand in that boundary. Don't fix them. Then there's that pesky persistence where they keep asking the same thing, but maybe in different ways. Remember, your response is that broken record technique. As I said, that doesn't work for me. Rinse and repeat as needed. Here's the key. Stay calm, stay kind, but stay firm. It's a way to not burn bridges. Don't get drawn into debates about your boundaries. You're not asking for their approval. You're informing them of your decision. So it's not up for negotiation. And remember, when people push back against your boundaries, they're often revealing how much they've been depending on your lack of boundaries. People will respect your boundaries immediately. Others will test them a few times before accepting them. And a very small number of people will never respect your boundaries. But that tells you something really important about those relationships that you need to pay attention to. Your job isn't to make everyone happy with your boundaries. Your job is to protect your energy so you can show up as your best self for the people and the commitments that truly matter to you. The people who truly care about you will adjust to your boundaries because they want you to be happy and healthy. The people who don't, well, now you know where you stand. So let's kind of recap everything that we talked about today. A couple of things that I want you to remember. Boundaries are bridges, not walls. So remember, a boundary is more like a gate where things can come and go on your terms. You can be kind and clear. Protecting your peace will also protect your relationships. And lastly, please remember, your energy is sacred. It's up to you to guard it wisely. So here's your challenge for the week. I want you to practice one new boundary script. So earlier, I asked you to write down a challenge where you are having one of your boundary issues and then write that 1 to 3 sentence script. So the challenge moving forward is to take that script and actually use it. Apply it to that person that you are struggling with. So if today's session hit home and you know you need support in actually practicing and holding your boundaries, not just learning about them, coaching might be your next step. Inside my coaching sessions, we don't just talk about what to do. We actually work through real life situations where boundaries are being tested. Even better, you can practice with a horse if you are here with me locally in the Dallas area. Together, we build the tools, the language, and the self-trust that you need to set the boundaries that stick, even when it feels uncomfortable. But let me say this, you don't have to do it alone. Coaching is your space to strengthen your voice, to protect your peace, and to create the kind of life and relationships that honor who you really are. Practice makes progress. So if that sounds like something you'd need, then I'd love to talk with you. So you can learn more or you can book a free call with me at indigocoaching.net. Make it a great day.